this one. Yay, there we go. Elle Grinnell here with True Speak, bringing you the All Things Happy and Healthy vlog. So as you know, I started bringing on experts because after 35 of these with me, I just felt like you deserve to see somebody else and hear other perspectives. And I don't claim to know everything. So today I have with me Heather Abbott, and we met on an event, and then we kind of just kept showing up on the same kind of events. And then we've chatted a few times, and I love her passion about what she does. And if I were to say it in a nutshell, it would be that Heather helps women have what they want, helps women get what they want and still have money in the bank. And so that being said, I'm going to just let Heather jump right in and enlighten you all.
Well, thanks, Elle. So what I do is I like to put it this way. I'm a money mindset coach, but I'm not your typical one, because most money mindset coaches always say, but I'm not an accountant and I'm not a financial advisor, so I don't work with that part. Well, I am an accountant and I am a financial advisor and I do work with that part. So we start with what your beliefs are about money and where you got them. But I quickly move into getting you clarity with the numbers, because 90% of the people I have worked with and come across do not know what their numbers. Some of them are afraid to look. Some of them don't know how to look at them and get clarity. And it's a really, really important foundation stone that you need for your finances. And after that, you want to get clear on what is important to you in life. Like, is your job bringing you joy? Is your business bringing you joy? Or do you really just want more time to do the other things that you love? And how can we get you to have the money driving you towards that? So that's what I work with. And my background is, as I mentioned, I am an accountant and a financial advisor. I've got 30 years experience as an entrepreneur and working with numbers and just teaching people and helping them. And another thing that I love to do is make people feel better. So, and that just comes naturally. I thought everybody did that, but I found out that no, that's actually a special little quirk that I have, where I can get you to smile and just raise you up, make you feel better. So I bring all of that together in what I do with people. What I wanted to cover today that I think would be of great value is a little bit of the system I use to get you clarity with the numbers. It's a different way of looking at it, and it's not taught when you become an accountant or a financial advisor. So even if you have those, you don't necessarily know this. I had a woman come to me years back when I was working as a financial advisor, and she said, "Can you help me? I keep going deeper in debt and I don't know what's going on." And I took her through the system, and literally an hour later, I said, "Okay, well, you're behind with just your obligations. You have no money left for food and fun. It's no wonder you're going in the hole." And because of the way we did it, she could see exactly where the money was going. And she's like, "It's so clear. I went to a debt counselor and an accountant and nobody showed me this." So that's the main thing that I want you to get from this. And I can explain some of this really quickly. So that's what you'd like to hear?
Yeah, give us some tips. I tend to in the vlog do threes, but have at it. This is an area that's a little bit of my weakness, more so not money, but numbers. I'm not a numbers person, so I'm super excited. It's all yours.
Okay. Well, when you do it, an easy way to get you started, and I don't know if you want me to mention this now, but there is a freebie on my website that's an overview of the system. So after I explain it, go get it, and it will give you the steps. You can actually use everything that's in that and do exactly what I'm telling you to do here. So what I do first is I get you to separate your things. There's 3 buckets that you're going to have. One is paying you. One is food and fun, which includes every addiction that you have, because none of your addictions are obligations, even though you like to think of them as. So chocolate, alcohol, whatever it is, food and fun. And then there's your obligations. The goal is to have your obligations take up as little of your net income as possible. And your obligations as a percentage of your net income is your means calculation. So when someone says, are you living within your means? Nobody knows how to calculate that. This is how you calculate it. So obligations have a few sections that I've broken it down into, and these are listed with details in that booklet. So, and what I tried to do is get it so that I would spur you to remember everything. Because if I just said under transportation, vehicle repairs, you're going to say, oh, well, I think it's maybe, I don't know, $100. I want you to give it actual thought. So I listed tires, windshield wipers, oil changes. Go into detail, because the more detail you put, the better your output. We have a saying in accounting, garbage in, garbage out. If you give us crap information, you're not going to get good information back. And that goes for this. So the obligations are under housing, transportation, health, children, only some of the children expenses, and the other obligations. Other obligations are things like loans, credit cards, anything that's not covered, because your mortgage would go under the housing section. And then, so once you fill all those numbers in, you also go to your income, and you're going to use your net income. Net income means after you've paid your taxes for the year. So if you get a refund, you add that back into that number and spread it out over the year. If you have to pay taxes, take it away. If you're self-employed and you claim some of the expenses that were under the other obligation sections, add them back to the other obligation sections. You do not want to count them twice, because it will throw off your numbers. Now, the key for this is after you've written all those down, and you just write them down the way you usually pay them, you're going to convert every single one to weekly using the calculations that I give you in that booklet, so that you do it properly. Because if you say it's monthly and you divide it by 4, that is not weekly. You're off. You're missing 2 weeks. So when you have it weekly, it makes it relevant. So the weekly expenses as a percentage of your net income will tell you how you're doing living within your means. If you're at 40, 50%, celebrate, because you're doing really well. If you're at 80 or 90%, you're like, holy crap. Yeah, there's a lot of people there. But the good news is you now have a list of everywhere your money's going, and you can easily see what is costing you money that you don't need. And I mean, the only other option is raising your income. Those are the only 2 ways to do it. Raise your income, reduce your expenses. If you are at a good percentage, let's say you're at 60%, that means 40% of your net income is left weekly. So I want you to take that 40% and 10% goes to pay you. And that could be whatever's important to you. It could be saving it so that you have security. It could be paying down debt. You can use that however you want. So that takes you down to 30% for food and fun. Food and fun, the difference between food and fun and obligations is food and fun is the thing that when you go in the store, you say, whoa, I think I want extra chocolate. Those are food and fun. They're the things that you're going to spend extra on. It includes presents for people. It includes taking care of your pet. All of those things are food and fun. If you don't have money for food and fun, and food is in there, even though you think you need it, because yes, you have to eat, but if you're absolutely broke, you can go to a food bank. And if you have money coming in, but you're spending it on takeout all the time, or you could be using the flyers and planning meals and cutting that down, right? So that you have more for something else. Because if your bucket's only this big,
yeah,
you got to go somewhere, right? And you decide what's important to you. So that's where food and fun comes in. And the key for making it work is if you know what your net income is for a week, you know what 30%, and that depends. Don't use it as a budget, because if your numbers are off, or you have something that's a big amount and it is coming due soon, is going to throw it off. But you can use it as a guide. And if you use it as a guide, I would suggest you take that percentage out weekly in cash. I know people don't want to handle cash right now, but cash is important because cash is in your hand and you know what you have left, right? You can see. And if you do it that way, when you run out of cash for the week, you're done spending for the week. And also there is actually a part of your brain that reacts when you part with cash that it doesn't like. So you will be less likely to buy things you don't need if you have cold hard cash in your hand for food and fun. And that's things that you're tempted to spend on. So I do recommend cash. Credit card and debit card are fantastic for tracking. Use them for the obligations. But if you're going to use them for food and fun, you really need to be on top of tracking how much you have spent, and you lose track really quickly.
Yeah, I agree. And you don't feel the pain, you get the pleasure until the bill comes at the end of the month.
I don't know about you, but I love tapping. Tap, 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 tap. And I mean, if it's fun, it's not going to discourage you from spending.
And so what about paying you?
The paying you is that 10% if you can afford it. If you can't afford it, because there are some people that they just in a really tight situation and they're like, I can't afford to pay me anything. You have to pay you something. It's symbolic. If all you can afford is $1, give yourself the damn dollar. If you can afford 10, make it 10. If you can afford 10%, make it 10%. There's people who tithe to the church. Make sure, even if you tithe to the church, tithe to you too. You need to come first, because why are you doing it? Alan Watts has a great video. If you've never heard of him, he has a video on YouTube that I look up, and it's what do you want to do with your life? And he's talking to students, and he basically says, usually when I ask them what they want to do with their life, they'll say like doctor or something, something that is going to make them money. And I always encourage them, do what lights you up. Because if you're doing what lights you up and you get good at it, somebody will pay you to do it. And it's the same with this. You don't want to, he says, you don't want to go on working at a job so that you can make money. Go on working at a job that you hate so that you can make money so that you can go on living doing a job that you hate.
That's such good advice. So now what's the tip for entrepreneurs like me? So I pay myself way beyond 10%. And so is that the way I heard it would be to take 10% of what I'm already paying myself and to put that somewhere, right?
Yes.
Okay.
As an entrepreneur, still get the booklet and do the exercise that it is, because you will have net income. And I know entrepreneurs, our income goes up and down. It's cyclical. It varies. Use last year as a guide, or use whatever you expect it to be, your net income, a reasonable expectation as your net income. Do the calculation for your obligations, see how much you have left over, and then try to figure out your percentage for you from that point.
Mm-hmm. Got it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just so important to look at those numbers and just get used to looking at them.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be scary. If you know that, it's not. It's the mindset first, but this does make it an easier way to look at it. So making it easier it helps you get over the barrier of avoiding it. If you have a business, you have to know your numbers monthly. You have to look at numbers, your full expenses versus your income, because that's a whole other talk. That self-employed people can be 6-figure, 7-figure and go under because they thought they were making a profit, but they were actually paying people to take their time because they had so many expenses on the back end that they weren't figuring into the cost.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know. I had an agent who was making, well over 6 figures easily, but her expenses, where her office was, and all the decor of it, and her assistants, And so when, all of that was figured in, she was maybe making 30 grand a year. But on the surface, she looked like she was making well over $1 million easily. Her expenses were so high because she wanted to look like $1 million, but she really was a 30K gal, in $1 million gown, but that's the only gown she had. So
I actually did a talk on financial clarity in your business yesterday. That's, like I said, it's a separate talk, but yeah, you have to know your numbers, whether you're self-employed or not self-employed. You have to know your numbers.
Mm-hmm.
That's your security blanket. Avoiding them is the scary part. Finding out what they are, then you can do something about them.
I agree 100%. And that's why I wanted to have you come on, because this is not, I don't ever talk really about finances. I do talk about money mindset a little bit, but the nitty gritty of the numbers and okay, so I already downloaded your booklet and went through it and was so specific that I never even knew how much windshield wipers cost. So in doing your booklet, I looked it up. If I need to replace them, what's it going to cost me? And so it's a real, and what's interesting, it also wasn't scary and it wasn't tedious. It was an adventure is what it was.
That's the goal, right? Like to make it, and I have had several women who did not want to look at their finances, who I've given, I have spreadsheets when I work with people in coaching. I use it as it's easier because it's all done. The calculations are done for you, but they found it just liberating to go through that.
Yes. So tell them one more time how they can get the booklet.
You can go to my website, hcabbott.ca, because I'm Canadian. If you go to .com, it's still me, but it's an insurance website. You don't want to go there. Although I think there's a link to the regular one. And if you spell it wrong, I have a few of them pointing to this one. It's ABBOTT, 2 T's, but
smart lady. Good
and
job.
It's just a purple button at the top. It says 3 steps to financial clarity, so you can get it right away.
So I highly recommend that. And also I'll be putting it down in the notes. So you all are, when you're watching this later, you'll be able to hop over there anytime. And I just want to put that in the notes too. It's called 3 Steps to Financial Clarity.
Yeah, but instead of financial, it's got $3 signs. So 3 steps to $, clarity.
Love it. Yes. And I highly suggest that you all print it out. Make a physical copy of it, and because the pen to paper helps get it more in your mind.
I did make it so that the last few pages, because the first ones have a lot of color and stuff, but the pages that you need to print out, they're just black and white. You can just print like pages, I think it's like 10 to 13, and you're ready, good to go. You can just have the rest on the computer.
And so then in closing, Heather, if you had a rooftop message, if there's something you just wanted to shout to the masses, what would it be? And I know I'm putting you on the spot. You didn't know I was going to ask you this.
That's okay. As far as finances go, don't give up. It's not all about the money. Money is just a tool, and you have skills, you have knowledge, and there's always someone who can teach you how to monetize that.
Yeah. So you're not alone, and you're valuable.
Yes. Oh God, yes. We all are.
Mm-hmm.
And we're all unique. It doesn't matter if what you're doing is the exact same as someone else. I meet other people that are working with money, and they could be accountants, they could be financial advisors, they could be money mindset coaches. I don't consider any one of them, not one, to be a competitor, because we all have our own approach and a different way of doing it and a different personality. I am absolutely 100% different than Susie Orman, because she is very much, this is what you do, this is why you're going to do it, and this is what I said, like, do it. And I'm more of a, okay, so these are your options, let's see which one you think would be best for you. And I mean, not that she doesn't do that, it's just she's got a more different personality. I like her. I do. I like her very much.
Thank you. Thank you for your time. Thank you all for showing up here again and watching these amazing experts that I've now added. I'm so excited that I was smart enough to bring on other amazing folks. So until next week, stay happy and healthy, my friends. Aloha.